Hey guys, welcome back to another episode Up and Running. Thanks for watching. Alright, this baby's been sitting a little bit. I kind of got away from it for a little bit, so I'm going to be getting back on it now. And we're going to take a look at the fuel system. I'm going to drop the gas tank down and see what that looks like. Over time, I've been getting just a little bit of junk in the filter. So I just wanted to take a look at the gas tank and see where we're at on that. So let's go ahead and pull the tank down. Alright, I noticed the old filter, I apologize, I threw it away, was just starting to get a little dark, and there was just a little bit of crud in it. It wasn't real bad, but I stuck a new filter in it, and I wanted to see, I started the car up the one day and ran it, and it died. I kind of think it just ran out of gas, that's the reason it died, but I want to be sure of that, so, that it wasn't the fuel pump. So I stuck a new filter in, hooked it up to a can of gas, and fired the car up. And I think you can see it there, there's a bubble, but it did suck the filter full of gas again, so I know it's not the fuel pump, which leads me back to the tank then. I think it's probably out of gas, but I got a little time, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the tank down and take a look at it and see what it looks like. If it needs it, I've got some stuff to go ahead and clean it, so let's get at it. Alright, let's take a trip down to the shop. We'll get the hoods up a little bit because that gas can's sitting in there. We're just going to keep it under 100 so the hood doesn't fly up. So here we go. No brakes. Alright, we're going to have to take a look at that. There's literally nothing. Going to see if the emergency brake works. It does. Now I got to figure out how to release it. Alright, there we go. I found the lever. Alright, we're good to go. Alright, we made it. Alright, so as you know, when we were driving this car today, the brakes weren't working. You can see this wheel cylinder is leaking quite a bit. I popped the top off the reservoir under the hood, and it was empty, so it's been leaking for a little while here. So we're going to go ahead and put a new wheel cylinder in it. Also, if you can see here, the pads are on the linings on the shoes are totally gone there, so it looks like we're going to be doing rear brakes right away as well. You can see in the drum here, there's a some of the lining is just sitting in there, and you can see that's all soaking wet, so it's been leaking for a little bit. So time for rear brakes. All right, I know when we first were going to come down here before the brakes went out on the car, we were going to take a look at the gas tank. And something I noticed, if you can see right there, somebody patched the gas tank there. It obviously had an issue. I'm going to see if I can get around and show you another part of it. I don't know if you can see right there. There's actually a little rust in the tank right there. And then over here, you can see that somebody brazed in a piece on the tank right there. So this tank's kind of in rough shape. So I'm going to see about getting another tank for this car. Something I found out is that if you search 69 Lincoln, it says that nobody makes a tank for it. What I found out searching the forums, and this is something you should always do, is they say that a 69 Thunderbird tank is basically identical to this. Nobody seems to list one, you know, as being a tank for this car, but they said that tank will work. So I'm going to get one of those ordered, and we'll get this replaced. All right, while I'm waiting on the shoes for these rear brakes and the wheel cylinders, I'm going to go ahead and take some pictures and you know, get this documented just so I don't have any issues. It's something you should always do, is take pictures of this stuff, so in case you get into it and you wonder where something went, you can go back to your pictures. So this is the way all the springs are coming out of there. I've got a hardware kit on order for this, so I guess we're going to be dead in the water until those get here. But anyways, hoping we'd have good luck and all that stuff would be fine, but it definitely needs to be replaced. So it looks like we'll have plenty of time to get everything cleaned up and looking spiffy. All right, we got the new wheel cylinder put in. We're waiting on the hardware kit to come right now. There's 2 bolts back here that hold that in, and then there's the brake line. Now, we couldn't get the brake line started, which is kind of common. We struggled with it, so what we did, we disconnected the brake line at the back axle right there and pulled the whole brake line off the car and got that started off the car, and that actually worked pretty well. So just a little tip, if you ever run into that, you can do something like that. Alright, I thought I would show you guys the difference between some of the different styles of drum brakes that were used back in the day. This car is a 1969. You can see right here, this has got self-adjusters on it, and that's actually what this cable is used for as well, is for the self-adjuster to work. I'll get down here so you can see that a little bit. The cable comes down and pulls on the self-adjuster and makes that work. When you back up, it adjusts that star wheel that direction and moves the brake shoes out. So that's one style. This mechanism right here is part of the emergency brake. Along with this end, that's that blue spring. That's part of the emergency brake setup on this car. You can probably see there's a cable right here that comes into the drum, right back in there. and that pulls on this bar right over here, and that's what makes the emergency brake work on this car. So this one's got emergency brake in it and self-adjusters. So by comparison, I'll show you some on a 69 Dodge. Like I said, this is a 69 Lincoln. On the Dodge, the self-adjusters were optional. You could get those without self-adjusters. So let me show you one of those. All right. So here's the back wheel, back brake on a 69 Dodge. This is my Super B. If you look here, there's no self-adjuster. It's just got a spring holding the two shoes together, and that's it. There's no cable. It's still got the emergency brake arm in there. It's got the two springs on top. It's got that emergency brake bar, and then the wheel cylinder there. So it's a little bit simpler setup. And these you have to adjust every once in a while. They don't do it on their own. Let me show you something on these old Dodges that happens. You can see something running out. What it is it's the overflow on the fuel tank. Let me get back up under here. And what happens on these cars is when the fuel in the tank expands, if they're too full, they leak a little fuel out. So that's what's going on here. I accidentally overfilled it this morning. So if I go up here and release the pressure, it quits dripping. Because what happened is it was cooler this morning than it is right now. It's in the 70s right now. So the fuel expanded a little bit and ran out. So that's what's going on here. So there's a little vent right up in there. I know you can't really see a whole lot here, but that the fuel runs out. So if you look at this cap, it says not vented. I know what some people have done to prevent that is they either drill a little hole in the cap or they find a vented cap that fits. That's the way some people have gotten around that. I just didn't do it, but I just try not to overfill it. I got a little, I overdid it a little bit today and overfilled it, so that's why I did that. So that's all that happens. All right, we're going to change the brake fluid in the Super B. We're going to try to just suck it out. So I'm going to be up front pouring fluid in, and Jake's going to put a little suction on it. We're going to try to suck it out. That's going to wrap it up for another episode Up and Running. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned next time. We'll keep working on the Lincoln. Ugh.